Okay, so we've got Lou Lombardi, University of Pennsylvania, class of 2015. St. Joe's Preparatory School, class of 2011. And Keenan Clark, Princeton University, class of 2013. St. Joe's Preparatory School, class of 2009. Both the varsity 8 coxswains from the 2013 Child's Cup, which we're going to show today.
Pennsylvania ready? Wait. Princeton ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, flag is up. Yeah, the race is off. Folks, it's the 102nd running of the Child's Cup between Princeton, Columbia, and Penn. Princeton's on the left, Columbia in the center, Penn on the right.
Bring us back to sort of the crews that you had. What was the matchup like, Penn, Columbia, Princeton that year? What were the sort of makeups of the crew? And, what were you sort of thinking going into the race in terms of sort of chances against each other?
My senior spring, I felt good after, if I remember correctly, we had a pretty good winter. Obviously, we graduated a decent class. I think Ian Silvera was probably the only senior out of that class that was in the 1V. But we had a great winter. The lineup was solid. We never really know the early season races, but I think we felt pretty good going into that one. I think that matchup is always an exciting one for us. But I believe that Mike Evans was stroking it. Pat Continen, who was a freshman at the time, that was the first year they allowed freshmen in the varsity boat. He was 7 seat. And then we had some power in Will Gillis, Brian Weddick, straight down the boat. Pat Ebel was in the boat at that point. So we felt good. I mean, we had a pretty solid lineup, and we were excited to line up. In the winter, it's always it gets kind of dark and lonely in there, and we were excited just to have our first test of speed. So we were pumped to get out there. So we were excited. We thought it was going to be a really good race.
Great. And Lou?
Yeah. Well, in honor of Tim Kaminsky, it's 66 in Philly, precipitation 90%, humidity 59, and 9 miles per hour in northwest. So just want to make sure he's aware of that.
Good shout out.
I mean, it's a bald eagle sanctuary. Anything can go down there, really. The crew was pretty much all seniors. It was my sophomore year. I think we had one sophomore in the boat. Guys who, looking to earn their stripes in their last year. And we're game plan always at Penn was go out as hard as we could for the first 500, get people a little shaken up and see if we can hold on for the rest of the way. So we were looking to kind of, brush some shoulders, shout some few things over at Keenan's crew and the Columbia crew and see where we could go.
Next question, guys. You're getting into the race. The race is starting off. You're going on. How long did it take you to notice that there was something that was possibly on the course?
Yeah. They were in lane 1, like looking us dead on. So like right when we got on the base, I'm like thinking, oh geez Louise, we got a boat sitting here. It better get moving now. And it's like, do I tell the crew? Do I not tell the crew what to do? And like my first mind was like, okay, keep the crew calm. Let's not inform them yet. It's not pressing yet. As we need to inform them, we will.
You guys are on the course. Get off the course. They're coming right at you. Get off the course, off to your left. Go. Off the course. They're coming right at you. Get off the course. You are on the course. They're going to come right through you. Get off the course. Coxswain, get your boat off the course. That way, other shore. Get off the course. That shore. Go to the far shore. Get off to your right then. Move, row.
I think the first thing that started to kind of hint at something going wrong was I heard coaches or the official. I just heard all the guys in the motorboats starting to I just heard there was some commotion, which there almost never is. Every now and then you'll hear an official kind of steer a boat, but it was kind of everybody at once yelling. And so I think it was probably just a couple hundred meters ahead. I think they were sitting at like 700 or 800 in. So yeah, the only way it affected us was, I think I started looking around. Guys in the boat, I think, were looking around a little bit. I'm sure Jason Kopelman, who's, can be kind of spacey, I'm sure he was starting to peek back there. So, and I remember Mike Evans asking me like, what the heck's going on? So I know that if we were affected at all, it would have just been like taking us off our game for a couple strokes. But as far as like course corrections, things like that, I don't think I did anything differently.
Keeping quiet, just trying to keep the crew focused, not like let them aware, praying to God that like this crew is just going to find their way off the course and it won't affect them. And then we're probably 20 strokes out. Coaches are hollering, we're close enough for at least the crew to hear. And I'm like, all right, guys, there's a boat right in front of us. We're going to steer into Columbia's lane and then come back, and we're going to be fine. We're just going to move on. It's like trying to be cool, trying to be collected, but at the same time, all the alarm bells are going off. Like, what I remember most is, like, because I started giving them the information, they were aware, but I don't think they were aware of the severity until we got around them. Because I just remember, and I won't say it on here, but I remember a couple of shouts of like, oh, blank, as we passed the crew, and it's like, oh, what the heck.
From what I remember, that was like a novice 4 going out for their first race with, really, really novice coxswain in there. So I imagine that it is difficult to stay out of the way of, 3 lanes across these fast varsity crews. So, I can kind of see how it happened. It obviously sucked that it did happen, but it's a tight course, and it seems like that's something that could happen. Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say, that's the other thing is like any course where there's a target that you have to aim directly at it's not going to be conducive for straight lines because, what can we see? Like I can't say for certain, but I would guess that I probably didn't see that white target until, I was probably peeking my head out from time to time, but I probably didn't see it fully until we were right on top of it. Because obviously when it's directly in front of you, you have rowers in the way. So I think anytime there's a targeted course, you got to be creative about how you're actually going to steer that, which I'm sure Luke probably felt the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Last question I've got is, do you think it had any impact on the race overall? Looking back, either of you guys, in terms of not necessarily maybe even changing the order of the race, but as you know, in that point in the season, margins are really important as you start to look and create seedings and compare to other crews later in the year. Do you feel like throughout the course of that season, could that have had any impact based on margins or outcome of that race that day?
I mean, I don't necessarily think the race itself was affected, but I think what you alluded to at the end definitely affects it. I mean, anyone would say like having good mojo, having good grooves in the boat is just so important throughout the course of the season. Getting good wins out of your belt, and even like the little marginal wins are just so huge. They just build the confidence, keep you cool midway through the season, end of the season, and into cup season. So like, I would say for us, it definitely kind of hurt our mojo, kind of got in our heads a little bit. But I mean, overall, I don't think it, killed us per se, but it definitely wasn't an outcome you want to have or something you hope for.
Yeah. I think to add to what Lou said, and I think he's a little more qualified to answer that because, we didn't have to deal with that obstacle, but it's hard to say if it would have affected the result. I mean, who knows? What I will say is that if I were in a Lou's situation, I definitely would have felt that way. I mean, to have to do a last second turn in your course and to have your guys looking around in a 2,000 meter race when you only have a certain number of strokes, like any small distraction like that is going to affect you immensely. So even if they only lost like a seat or two from that, like that's a humongous psychological advantage for us and Columbia. So I don't know if it would have affected the outcome, but it definitely affected the way that they probably were strategizing, the strokes that they were taking, their mentality through the rest of that piece. Whereas I feel like we probably had an easier go of it. So
Okay, that was exciting in a strange way.
And a big shout out and thanks to our man community organizer 1 and Columbia Rowing for their YouTube footage